good afternoon, and welcome to another session of Supreme's online self-development and awareness program. As you know, my name is Tanya, and I am here to pull together everything that we've been learning so far about what emotional intelligence is. Before we get into that, we actually have to finish off one final part of emotional intelligence, and that is looking at relationships and relationship management. As you know, before I get too deep into anything, I actually like to do a little check-in. I want to see how everybody's feeling. I believe I have Jaden here in the Zoom chat with me.
Ma'am.
Hi, good evening, Jaden.
Good evening.
Okay. So the usual thing. I just want you to, let me know how you're feeling today. You can use the one of the images here that might represent how you're feeling, or if you can think of another word to describe how you're feeling, you can tell me that instead.
Calm. Excited. What do you call it? Happy.
Calm, excited, and happy. Okay. Well, that's good to hear. I'm a little bit excited, a little bit nervous, but all in all, I'm feeling pretty good too. Right? So we are jumping straight in today because we have a lot to cover since we have to really talk. Well, not really talk. We're going to talk a little bit about relationships and trying to understand what they are, the types of relationships that exist, and what we can do to manage those relationships. But we're also going to do a review of what we would have done over the last 5 weeks. Okay? So the first thing is, as always, to define. So relationships, the definition we're going to be using is the way two or more people are connected or behave towards each other. So a relationship can be between you and one other person. It can be between you and several other people. It could be because of what we would call blood ties, where some part of your DNA is connected to someone else's DNA, or it could be because of, let's say, a marriage, because you might have like a cousin of yours who is not necessarily a blood relative, but because, let's say, your uncle married their aunt, then they would end up being somewhat like your cousins. And you can also have relationships that have to do with you getting along well with another person and forming a bond in that way. And you also have relationships that are just people that you might happen to see around. So you don't interact with them closely, you don't necessarily have a friendship, you're not family. That's another type of relationship. And then you also have relationships where the interest involves you liking the person deeply. So not just you like them as your friend, but you like them to be more than your friend. And the terms we have for each of these are family, which is the one I was describing, where it's either marriage or a blood relation. Acquaintances, those are the people you would normally just see around. So you have your friends, not your friends, sorry, you have your schoolmates, your teachers. If you're working, you have your boss. You have maybe the neighbor down the street that you don't really talk to, but you see them from time to time. So all of those are your acquaintances. Friendships are the ones I was describing, where these are persons that might have started off as an acquaintance or maybe as a family member that you're particularly close to. There's a person that you share more with, you talk to a bit more, and you feel a lot closer to. And then romantic partners, those are the persons that you have an interest in that is bigger than friendship. And romantic partners can actually become family members. And sometimes when things don't work out, they can actually just be friends. Right? So we're moving on now to figuring out this relationship management thing. So I want Jaden to tell me, just seeing the words relationship management, what do you think of?
Management. Relationship.
Pardon?
Relationship management. Managing emotions and together with someone.
Managing emotions. But I didn't catch the last part.
Managing emotions with someone.
Very good. Yes, it is about managing emotions with someone, but more than just emotions. They form a big part of it, but there's also, managing, developing, and maintaining good relationships with people. Being able to use good communication skills and manage conflict, because whenever you have to interact with another person, whether it's family, friend, acquaintance, or romantic person, you will end up in some kind of conflict. Um, but what you have to do is learn to communicate well, including communicating your emotions or communicating your feelings, and use that in a way to manage the conflict that arises between you two. Right? So communication, very, very important. And it's the sharing of information, ideas, and feelings from one person or place to another. So it's me being able to express to other persons the thoughts that are in my head or the way I'm feeling about something. Like if I just want to say I'm hungry, or if I want to say I'm happy, or if I want to say I feel excited about something, that is a way of me trying to communicate some kind of message to another person, right? All communication involves a sender, some type of message, and a receiver, right? Every type of communication, you have a person who is trying to get some kind of message across, the message that's trying to be sent, and a person or persons who are on the receiving end to take in this message. And there are different ways that we can actually communicate. So a lot of communication that we do is actually verbal. Verbal meaning that you're using words to express it. It can be done orally, so you can speak what you want people to say. Sorry, you want people to hear and to understand, or it can be done by writing it. So you can write it down on paper, you can text it, you can email it, you can send it on social media. All of that is your way of communicating in a written form, but using verbal communication. But the other important type of communication that we're going to be touching on is nonverbal communication. And nonverbal communication is highly important because it is one way that we are kind of always communicating, even if we're saying nothing at all. So when you think of nonverbal communication, you're thinking of an important term that Jaden would have used last week, which when he talked about body language, and it's another one that we've been covering week by week when we're looking at facial expressions and how emotions register on our faces. But it's not just our faces, they also show up in our bodies. If you are frowning, that can send a person a message. But also, if your shoulders are slumped, or if you're sitting leaning forward, like the person you picture, or the person that has their hand on their forehead, those are things that tend to send messages to other people. And it's very important to note that no matter what you do, you're always sending out nonverbal information, right? Every day, all day long, you are sending out nonverbal information. Like I said earlier, sometimes you are silent. Somebody might be saying something to you and you're not even responding to them. And they might think that that communicates something to them. And your nonverbal communication comes out in eye contact. It comes out in the way that you stand, or your stance, or your body posture. It can come out in the way you position your body. Like if I do this and I'm having a heated, sorry, step back. If I'm having a heated discussion with somebody and I do this, then they might think that, you know, I'm feeling a particular way. But it also comes out, like I said, in your facial expression. And some of us aren't even aware that these various things send messages, and we're not aware sometimes of when we're doing these things. Like people's faces will be set up in a particular way. and without even thinking about it, you're maybe listening to someone, but at the same time you're thinking about something very important. And while you're having that thought and listening to the other person, it can give the person the impression that what they're saying to you might be upsetting you, or it can give the person the impression that you're not really listening to them, right? So whenever you are interacting with another person, even if it's on video, even if it is on like social media, like let's say you're sending pictures, it will let a person, sorry, it would give a person certain impressions about you and what you're thinking and your mood and that kind of thing. What is also important to note is that, like I said, you have a sender, a message, and a receiver, and you have to make sure that you are expressing yourself clearly. This part is especially for the sender, right? So when I am trying to get a message across to someone else, I have to make sure that the message I'm putting out there is a message that they're receiving clearly. Sorry, not that they're receiving clearly, that I am expressing clearly, because I want them to understand what my words are supposed to mean or what my body language is supposed to show. The next part is actively listening, right? And what that really means is that you are paying attention more so to what the person is saying, as opposed to just kind of hearing them but not giving them your full attention. So if, for example, you your mother's giving you instructions or your father's giving you instructions, and while they're giving you instructions, you are playing a video game, or you're messaging your friend, or you're thinking about the fact that you want to go somewhere else, the person doesn't get enough of your attention for you to understand what they're saying. And like I said, even though you're not speaking to the person, you're not saying anything to the person, it will give them an impression, or it will communicate something to them. And it might not be the thing you're trying to communicate. Somebody might say you're being rude, but it's not that you're trying to be rude. It's that your attention is in one place and your attention is also partially on them. But if you're actively listening to what a person is saying, you are trying to make sure that you're looking in their direction, or you are, pausing something else, if something else can be paused, in order to give them the needed attention so that you can respond, right? And that is the third part of communicating effectively, right? You want to respond as needed. If I say to you, hand me the blue pencil, and you're not really paying attention, you hand me the red pencil, I'm going to be a little bit annoyed, because it's like, I specifically said the blue pencil. So how did you get the red one? Does that mean that you weren't really listening, that you weren't fully attentive? Or if I, let's say, ask you to go somewhere with me, or I say, like, maybe ask your parents if you can go somewhere with me, and you don't ask your parents, but then you come, when both of us end up getting in trouble, then it will be as if I'm encouraging you to do the wrong thing, even though I would have communicated, well, ask your parents, and then you went off and did your own type of thing, right? So I want to do a quick activity, and before we started, I would have asked Jaden to get a pencil and some paper. Did you get it, Jaden?
Mama always had, yes, please.
You got it? Great. All right. And then for anybody who is watching elsewhere, I'm actually going to have, because there's someone else here with me right now. So they're not going to be speaking or anything or coming on cameras yet, but I'm going to have them do the same activity along with Jaden, so that we can see how well I'm going to communicate the instructions, and how good they're both going to be at carrying out the instructions, right? So the only thing you need to do is to listen carefully for how, where, or what to draw. These instructions are actually going to stay on screen for a while. So you have to, I'm going to give it, like, sorry, how, where, or what to draw. I might say above, inside, below, next to, bigger or smaller. And that's just to give an indication of how exactly I want this image to be drawn. And then I'm going to draw the shape. Sorry, I'm going to ask you to draw the shapes that I described in order to make a whole or a whole picture. Okay? Got it, Jaden?
Not really.
All right, so like I said, they're going to stay on the screen. So when we start, if you don't understand, you can feel free to ask me what exactly you want me to do, okay?
Okay.
All right. Ready? Other person in office with me? All right. All right. So the first thing I want you to do is to draw, so like, from in like the middle of your page, I want you to draw a line about the length of your index finger. Your index finger is your second finger. So not a very, very long one. Right? Good. You with me so far, Jaden?
Yes, please.
Okay, great. Now, from the left side of that line, I want you to draw a line coming down as if you were going to draw a triangle. But you're not drawing a triangle. Just draw a line coming down as if you were going to draw a triangle. And then let me know when you're finished.
Finish.
All right. On the right side, I want you to draw another line just like the first line. But, so if one points, how should I say this? If one line points to the right, the other line points to the left. So like I said, like if you're drawing a triangle, you're not going to draw a triangle.
Finish.
Awesome. Right. Now I want you to draw a line that connects those two lines from the left side to the right side or the right side to the left side, whichever you choose to do.
Finish.
Right. Inside of that shape that you've now created, I want you to draw 4 lines parallel to each other. I
Finish.
said that wrong. Sorry. Because that could have been coming down. I meant going across. Right?
Right. Finish.
Okay. Right. So now look for the center. What would be the middle of the drawing that you have right now? And I
Yes,
want
please.
you to, a little bit to the right of your drawing, I
Right. Finish.
from that line, on the right side of that line, I want you to draw a big triangle.
A big triangle.
Like a right angle triangle. You know what a right angle triangle is?
Yes, please. Mm-hmm.
Got it?
Yes, please.
Okay. Now, Behind that triangle, I want you to draw another triangle, but slightly smaller. So not exactly the same size as that triangle.
Behind it?
So you have one triangle that should be on the right side, and I want you to do another triangle that should be on the left side. Although the camera is mirrored, so my hands are in the wrong place. Where?
Finish.
Great. Finished?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
On the left side now, well, it's my right side, but on the left side now, I want you to draw a circle on the left side of your page.
Inside of it, inside of the thing.
No, not inside the I almost told you what it was. Not inside of what you've drawn so far. So you have what you've drawn, but on the left side of your paper, I want you to draw a circle.
Okay.
Got it?
Yes, please.
Good. And I want you to draw 7 lines sticking out of that circle, pointing up, down, left, right, and diagonally.
Finish.
All right. So now at the bottom of everything you've drawn, I want you to draw squiggly lines, lines that go up and down.
Finish.
Finished? Okay.
Yes, please.
So now it is time to reveal what I've been asking you to draw. Can I see yours? Pretty good. So this is what the person in office with me came up with.
Oh.
Does yours look like this?
No, please.
What does yours look like?
Hmm. Let's see if I can tell.
Hmm?
I don't know.
You don't know what yours looks like? All right, I'm gonna reveal the image now so you can see what it's supposed to look like. So this is
Oh.
what, yeah. So it was supposed to be a boat on the water in the sun,
Mm.
right? Does yours look anything like this?
No, please.
But this is just to show that communicating can be very, very hard, especially if you look at feelings. I don't know. Do you find it easy to communicate your feelings to other people?
Sometimes.
Okay. And there are lots of people who find it very easy to say, how they feel about certain things. And then there are lots of people who find it hard to say how they feel. Some people find it easier to show how they feel, like especially if they're angry or if something
Uh,
someone has done makes them angry. It can be really, really easy to show it and really hard to say. But if you are trying to manage emotions, not emotions, sorry, manage relationships, you're trying to, deal with family, trying to deal with siblings, parents, if you're trying to deal with teachers at school, or if you're dealing with persons in your workplace, it can be very difficult to express to them how you feel sometimes. And the ways that we might end up showing it aren't always good, but we have to practice and develop good communication skills so that when we are expressing ourselves, we're actually getting the right message across, right? I don't think that the drawing came out quite the way it was supposed to because there are probably little instructions that I could have given to make it a little easier for you, right? But regardless, you have to find ways to put the right messages out there, to express yourself to people, so that it's not just maintaining relationships that you currently have, but also as you develop more because you're going to school or you're going to work or, well, right now you're at home and you're interacting with people constantly, and there's going to be miscommunication. But when there's miscommunication, you also have to find ways to talk it out and work it out and make the situation better so that maybe in future you don't end up with the types of situations you might have had before. And I also have instructions here for you. This is so you can do it at home. You can do this with a friend. Just is It's very easy. You can find something that is a simple image or a shape that you think you'll be able to describe well. I had actually drawn my picture myself, somehow thinking that would have made it easier. Um, so you can do something like that. You might draw an image and then you might tell a friend how they, sorry, walk a friend through how they can draw the image and do it in the same way where they can't see what you're talking about, but you can get to practice developing those communication skills, and your friend can practice listening because you can ask questions. You can say, where do you want me to draw it? Left side, right side, how long or how short? In the same way I was communicating left, right, how long, how short, right? And you also want to make sure you're telling the listener exactly where without describing what the picture was. Like at one point, I almost said below the boat, but I had to catch myself and realize I'm not supposed to tell you it's a boat. I'm supposed to describe it in such a way that it ends up looking like a boat, right? All right. So we have
Perfect.
wrapped relationships and relationship management for today, right? We are now just gonna review all the stuff that we have been doing for the last few weeks. Um, I'm gonna pause every now and then so Jaden can tell me if he can remember any of the stuff, but it's okay if he can't because there's a lot of information for a 6 week period, right? So the first thing was we would have looked at was defining emotional intelligence. And we define that as our ability to recognize, understand, and manage our emotions, understand how others might be feeling and why they might feel that way, and to manage our emotional reactions, like how it is that we are responding to people. We also would have been looking at emotions and feelings and
Yeah.
to understand what are emotions. Because remember, emotions are instinctive, natural responses. They're not something that we have to run from or there's something that we have to hide, but it's something that we have to learn how to deal with them when they come up. We try to identify what some emotions look like, by looking at facial expressions or body language. And we also looked at where in our bodies we might feel certain emotions, right? So we went on to look at self-awareness. We were trying to answer this whole question of who am I? Um, and it was our ability to understand who we are and how well we can recognize our own emotions and thoughts, actions and reactions. And we looked at self-management, where we were working on taking responsibility for our actions, controlling impulses. You remember what impulses are, Jaden? Because I think you were here with me
Um,
that day.
that this up is the pulses.
Yeah.
Figure out what a person wants or needs.
That's looking at their emotions. And impulse is like a sudden feeling to do something.
Um,
Um, yeah, so you might feel the urge to maybe, I don't know, play, like if you're playing with your friends, you might feel the urge to throw a rock, but then you have to think about, is that a good idea? Look at what's surrounding you, that kind of thing. And we were also
Right.
talking about, right, managing emotions in a healthy way. Healthy way meaning in a way that is helpful to you and helpful to others, and not in a way that pushes your emotions aside where they don't get dealt with. And we looked at setting goals, smart goals, specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely goals. And then we looked at social awareness, where social awareness was being aware of other people's feelings. So not just looking at our feelings anymore, but looking at, sorry, looking at, others have feelings just like us. And sometimes our actions can affect others as much as others' actions actually affect us, right? Or sometimes more than others' actions affect us, or less than others affect us. But it's always bearing in mind that you're interacting with other people, and it's not just you receiving what they do, but you're also, sorry, not just you putting stuff out there, but you're also affected by the things that they do. And we moved on to empathy, where empathy is, you remember what empathy is, Jaden, before I bring it up?
Empathy is care for someone else's feeling.
Hmm. Yes, exactly. Right? So you're sharing in others' feelings. You are trying to connect with what other people are feeling, even if you aren't feeling it at the time. And then we also talked about perspective, which is recognizing your viewpoint and the viewpoint of others, and remembering that, well, bring up the next thing. Remembering that while you might see a situation in one particular way, another person would actually see it in a completely different way from you, right? And that brings us right back to this week. And we've done it. We've made it. We have looked at all of these different things about emotional intelligence and tried to have a better understanding of, what it is we need to do if we want to be more emotionally intelligent. But this is by no means the end, right? This is actually, well, you can bring up the next one. This is actually a start, because the end is still very, very far away. All of these things that we've been doing, whether it's conflict resolution and problem solving, or if it is emotional intelligence or anger management or looking at self-esteem, we have actually begun the journey to understanding ourselves better, and then trying to, make our interactions with others a little bit better, and make sense of all of the information that we get from day to day. Right? That is the end of it for me. But my special other in-office person is actually the deputy director, Miss Dacia Chase, and she is gonna come now and give the final words for today. Right?
Hi, good evening, everyone. I really want to start with thanking Tanya for allowing me to be a part of her session today. As she would say, as she just said, sorry, my name is Dacia Chase, Deputy Director of Supreme Counseling for Personal Development. And really and truly, today is the last session of our online sessions. And Tanya would have given us a very wonderful close covering emotional intelligence. On behalf of Sean Clark, the CEO of Supreme Counseling for Personal Development, and all of us here at Supreme Counseling, I want to take this opportunity to thank all of you present in our online audience. I want to thank every single one of you that would have joined in every single week, following in the sessions and being committed to those sessions. I really want to thank you for giving us your time, for allowing us to teach you the things that will help you to develop into better individuals. We really want to specifically thank Jaden, Tyreek, Renaissance, and all of our faithful Zoom members. And we here also want to give a special thank you to the facilitators, to Tanya, Lydia, Shade, and Cece, for sharing with you weekly and for covering topics on self-esteem, anger management and self-awareness, emotional intelligence, problem solving, and conflict resolution. We also want to give a special thank you to our project officer, Tiffany Phillips, and to our technical team for giving us such an amazing vote of assistance over the past couple of weeks. But although this is the end of this segment, it is not the end for our online sessions because we will be covering a number of topics very, very soon. And our next upcoming topic is our online presentation on bullying. So in the event that you may need to contact us on any of the topics that we would have covered, any information related to any other topics that were covered during this time before, or even new topics that you may come up with, or if you may need individual assistance, if parents may be having challenges with children, or if you may be having developmental challenges that you need to have assistance with, feel free to give us a call. Our numbers are 538-9769, 538-9769, or 836-5601, 836-5601. Thank you all once again. We are very appreciative of you being here with us over this time. Thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you again sometime soon, not too far, but in the very near future, sorry. Have a wonderful evening. Stay safe, and God bless.